I'm gonna let you know it's a fucking shit episode. Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk Fear the Walking Dead, Season 2, Episode 12. Now, if you're new here, this is a new style video we're doing on this channel, and it's to try to combat some of the conflict happening in the Walking Dead family, the fan base for the Walking Dead fans and Fear the Walking Dead fans, TV shows, comic book, video games. There's a lot of problems where fans who love Fear the Walking Dead and fans who hate the Walking Dead, or we're talking fans who kind of like it and fans who aren't really feeling it. There's conflict all around where they believe that they should hate each other and argue no matter what, based off the simple fact that you might like this episode and this person might hate that episode. And there's just a lot of bullshit. Now, here's the thing. I went in depth the first time we did this style video, so if you're new here, it's really worth it to check that out because I'm going to try not to repeat myself. So go back and watch Fear the Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 11 on this channel. I believe it's called The Reaction Rant. It's a long one. I think it's like 20-some minutes long. Overall, I mean, you can watch the very first 13 minutes or so, and I think that breaks down what initially made me decide to do this style video. But I will add, what really kicked me in the ass is the fact that, like, I was at the doctor's office, someone in the waiting room just started talking about it, and we got into a conversation. They loved something, and I hated something that had to do with the storyline, and the conversation is so much different than it is online. Online, if you love it and someone hates it, you're enemies, and you got to argue, insult, and everything. In person, to friends and family, even to strangers, when you have a conversation like this, one person states why they love it, what they love about it, another person states why they didn't like it, why it didn't work for them, and then more kind of a mix, a blend, a nice mix and blend of dialogue happens after that. Open communication, which kind of leads people to be like, okay, I see what you mean. I see why you didn't like that, but I still like it. At the end of the day, it's no big deal. But on the internet, for some reason, in this fandom, it's like a declaration of war, which I think is silly, and I want to move past that. And that's what I'm saying. I love this fan base. I don't want us at each other's throats with simple shit like this. Yeah, we're gonna argue about shit off and on, fine. But it shouldn't simply be because somebody likes a show or an episode and you didn't like it. That's just too simple, you know what I mean? Anyway, let's hit play on this, and hopefully this episode is a little better to pick out what we think are flaws or what we think are pros for the story, cons for the story, and even the way they're telling the story. Let's jump into this. Oh, are they sneaking out of the colonia? Is that what it's called? I think they're sneaking out. Now, see, that I like. That I like. I want to follow them. That guy's wearing the vest. He was in the trailer cutting up the body in the bus. So I'm really curious. I hope they don't die, like, right there at the bus. That would be shitty. See, again, we're hitting a part in the story where it's going to be mixed in between the fandom because this happens in the Walking Dead comic and in the original show. Now, we're not going to involve the comic in these discussions because the original show is based off the comic. So yes, clearly they're going to bring that story to life on the screen. So the comic really doesn't play a part unless Fear the Walking Dead is taking comic story and just doing it on the show, despite what the original show does, like the hostage scene, but that's a discussion for a different day. Right now, we have a scene that's very similar to what we just saw in Season 6, where they load themselves with guts at Alexandria and they walk out of the house. Now, in the comic, that scene felt like epic because this is something they haven't done before, you know? It's being done so much on The Walking Dead, and similar stuff has been done before, but this was a family unit. This was a family that isn't really used to the zombie apocalypse, much like the people at Alexandria when done on the original show. Now you have Sammy, who's a younger kid, so you have this family unit. People in the community, Rick and them, they're going through a herd of walkers covered in guts. The kid is terrified. Here you have a similar situation, and they just walked out of the bus, so I don't know what's going to happen yet, but they're walking through a herd of walkers, very similar with a child. So it is very similar, but again, I will say this, it's up for debate because, yes, this is something in this world that obviously and clearly a lot of people are utilizing this trick. So yeah, we will see it time and time again. However, I'm really hoping from Season 3 on, the writers try to write the story using stuff that has not been seen in the show, maybe even the comic, that hasn't been seen before, because I think that is where the gold is. Stuff that is truly original, and you can do it. I know a lot of times people go, there's only so much you could do in a zombie apocalypse. That is bullshit, because the comic is still reinventing itself today, 10 plus years later, so don't feed me that bullshit. I could sit back and think of 10, 12 different things off the top of my head through these scenes that they haven't done in a zombie film. It's possible. Anyway, let's see what happens. But bottom line, I will say this is a neutral in my book. On the con side, yes, it's too fucking much like season 6 of The Walking Dead, where they're coming out of their house from No Way Out. On the pro side, and this is why it's neutral, it falls in the middle. On the pro side, this is something in this world that a lot of people are going to utilize this trick. So we're not just going to see it once on the original show. We're going to see it on that show, on this show, on that show, a couple more times. We'll see it again, Uh-oh. That's a shitty space to hide, bruh. That's a shit spot to hide. Ophelia, what you doing, babes? And this again, regarding Ophelia, this is where I love, and this is one of the most enjoyable aspects that sadly I wish I had more time to do on this channel. I love interacting with the fan base because I want different perspectives of the story. Like, for example, you guys know that I really like Nick. No matter how you chop him up in the first season, I liked it and I thought there was a lot of potential, and that's what I like the most, a lot of potential. However, once he left his family in season 2, I just don't like him anymore. I don't like his decision to leave. I think it was weak. I think it was pathetic, and I think it makes him look like a degenerate piece of shit. Now, Ophelia left, and when I saw they showed her in one of the sneak peeks, I became interested. I wasn't filled with the hate I had for Nick or the disappointment with his character for leaving. I didn't understand it as far as why he would, or I didn't believe it, whatever excuse they would have put. For Ophelia, she did not leave her family. She was growing ties with these people, and if you're a fan, and the reason why I'm saying I want to hear your perspective is because I don't hold the same stain against her as I do for Nick. He walked away from his family knowing the community is burning down, knowing that he can't ever find them again if he leaves, most likely. I know on a TV show they're going to meet up, yada, 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 but he left knowing he will most likely never see them again. Ophelia left while they were at a hotel, and for all we know right now, she could be leaving and coming back, or thinking. She did not know shit hit the fan. So for right now, I'm not filled with that same stain of hate, for the character. So give me your thoughts and opinions, because it is really similar. You have a character who left their group. The circumstances surrounding it extremely different. Nick knew they were scattered to the wind. Celia stabs that walker in the head with the hammer. The walker falls. And just like a normal living human body, blood leaks out from that wound. Now, that is something that I notice off and on in both the original show and Fear the Walking Dead, and it's just something I find odd. Would the blood really do that? I mean, I don't know. And I know with zombies, you're supposed to suspend your disbelief for certain aspects regarding the zombies. I just wish they wouldn't make them leak as much. You know what I mean? Is that too nitpicky? Now, I don't hold it against the show. Same thing with digital blood. I hate it. Even on The Walking Dead, I fucking hate it. I think it looks laughable. It looks laughably bad. When they put the machete in, there's one scene in the prison, or a couple scenes where I think it was either Daryl or Rick, or maybe both of them, they put a machete or knife in a walker's head. It's fake blood. The machete entrance wound CGI, and it looks laughable. I think it even moves a little. It wiggles, as far as a real stab wound. It's there. It's in the skull. It's not moving anywhere, because you gotta be very still. Just a little bit of movement makes it look unrealistic. Anyway, let's just throwing that out there. But again, those are negatives that I don't hold against the shows. I don't say The Walking Dead or Fear is a shit show because the zombies bleed too much or the blood is digital. It's just something I would rather they not do, but I keep it moving. So right now we get the Ophelia flashback. Now I'm torn because I love flashbacks and I think this flashback was done well. I like the dialogue, I like the charisma between the two actors. I think it was nice. However, I can't help but feel as I'm watching it that this is in here because the character has been poorly developed up until this point. And a couple of the flashbacks feel like that. With the Nick and Gloria, a few episodes ago, I love how they flash back to a character that was a walker from the very first episode of this series. I do love it. But again, I could not escape that feeling that this is in here because they didn't properly develop these characters up until this point. I felt like that flashback could have even been from season 1. That flashback could have been, inserted at any point in time in the story. It just did not have that right placement, I felt like. You get that placement where you're like, oh man, that fits. Now, another thing too, minor nitpick, but the actress, her response to getting a mouthful of gasoline, I'm not buying it. I would have liked to see her upchuck. I just felt like it would have been a little more real. And I'm not even talking about throwing up. Just act like you had a mouthful of gasoline. You want this bitch to be hard? Fuck it. Okay. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Not at this point. She looks capable. Absolutely. Just that one little thing, again, takes me out of the story there. I felt like it was a try-hard scene. You want this bitch to be badass? She takes a whole mouthful load of gasoline and she doesn't even gag. Now that's badass. Alright, whatever song they're playing right now in this montage, I hate it. I hate it. And that's on me, though. I mean, you might love it. It's all good, but ugh. I see the vibe they're going for, though. I see it. I'm not going to argue that. And here's the pier where they dumped all the walkers. Now, did the walkers... Look at it. It's all clean. The entire beach area is clean. They're learning how to surf. They're being silly with it. All those walkers are gone. They were swept out to the ocean. Like, none of them are left around. Not buying that shit either. Ugh. Alright, here we get something that pulls me right out of the episode. Alright, so you guys know I don't even like the reason Nick left. And every time we get a discussion where Nick is talking to the girl in the previous episode, talking to Lucy about his family, are they still alive? He worries about them, whoop-de-whoop. Now I'm hoping to give us a sliver of redemption in his choice, in the writer's choice to have this character leave the way he did. And we get nothing. We get really weak dialogue for that moment. And now it just feels like it's awkward and slightly pathetic. We have this conversation with Hector, I believe his name is. Alicia here is answering the question of where is he, and it's so awkward. You know what I'm saying? Because you're waiting for her to just say where he is. We were together and he just walked away. But she doesn't say that because you know how ridiculous and stupid that is? Because the real side of that conversation would be like, whoa, what do you mean he just walked away? That's it, walked away from you guys? Why? And then she would be like, well, we burned down the last compound we were at because the people, they were crazy with the dead. Whatever, I'm shortening it. And then he would be like, well, why did he leave though? And then she'd be like, well, because he thinks we shouldn't kill the dead or we should accept them. This is New World, yada, yada, yada. And then Hector would be like, well, that shit is crazy. So see how it's like it's negative against the character of Nick? And I feel like that's why this conversation does not sound realistic. She's sidestepping it. It feels awkward. None of this I don't like because she's not saying where her brother is. She's just beating around the bush. Well, he's out there somewhere. That's more romantic, and I'm not talking about intimate between brother and sister, but I'm talking about as a writing style, that's a more romantic way to put it than the truth, which is always drags you right out of the story. It's like, come on, just say he left. He left you guys. Now this is a complete and utter fail on AMC. Or whoever put together the trailer. Now, this is a massive fail. And I believe it has to do with them being nervous about the ratings. In the sneak peek, we showed Strand stabbed. I mean, come on. We all knew it was the mother because of the episode before. He put down her daughter as a walker or whatever. And it was a really touching scene. But in the teaser, they show Strand get stabbed. Hence, when we're actually watching the episode where you want to draw us in, you want to, punch us in the gut, the way he gets stabbed in the gut, we know it's coming. The second there's a knock on the door and he gets up to answer it, we know it's coming. He's about to get stabbed right now. It's not shocking. But guess what? The way they filmed it, it was supposed to be shocking. There was no setup, there was no hints, there was nothing. Nothing at all. The filmmakers here are not at fault. Whoever put that in the teaser 100% officially fucked that scene. And whoever wrote it, filmed it, however they put it together, if they were involved in that idea as well, it contradicts the way they filmed it. And that is shit. It's utter shit. And I feel like they put that in the teaser because they're bleeding fucking ratings. They're really desperate, and they knew that people would go, oh my god, Strand is bleeding. Let's watch what happens, whoop-de-whoop. Maybe they felt like that would gain a few more eyeballs on screen, but it was shit for the fans who are into this show, and you just, in my opinion, ruined a really shocking scene. Fuck, you see it coming a mile away. That would have been a shocking scene. Even if he doesn't die, even if he's just fine, but in 20 minutes, that would have been like, oh shit, didn't see that coming. But now it's not an oh shit. He is just holding a rag on the wound. Would he know that no major organs were punctured? So maybe there's telltale signs. However, I'm just not confident, and I feel like this is bullshit that he knows just by glancing at it for a few seconds that she did not puncture any major organs when she stabbed him. It would have been nice if they would have inserted something else to help put us at ease while we're watching this. Like, oh, I can tell because there's no stench, there's no this, nothing's leaking out, there's no pus, there's no da-da-da, that she did not hit any major organs. You see where, in my opinion, that would be better than just leaving it as, no, you're good. Just get him a Band-Aid, guys. Now we get Alejandro acting funny, sweating. He could be stressed out, yeah, but his attitude is completely different, and there's no hint of why. Like, beyond the burden and stress. You know what I mean? It's like he's part delusional at times. Would you want to follow Marco? And it's like, dude, well, no. When you have trade or business with a certain company, and they have policies or rules or whatever, you kind of gotta, there's some give and take there. Sometimes you can compromise, but if someone's a giant dick and it's like, be here at 2 o'clock or I'm leaving and you won't get any water, you kind of got to be there at 2 o'clock. It has nothing to do with following somebody, you know what I mean? So hopefully they'll clear that up later because that just seemed forced. So they show up to the warehouse, and it looks like it might be the same warehouse. I don't really recognize the people. I think I recognize the one guy. I will say that it feels out of nowhere. The hotel group felt like a group that was stuck in the hotel from the very beginning of the outbreak. But from the sound of the girl, the hotel warden, she was talking about the cousin and picking this group over her family and when everything was going down. And now it's like, wait a minute. Did you deal with these people after? Because these people only set up this warehouse once everything went to shit. I thought they were kind of technically locked in the hotel. Oh, crap. I gotta go back and rewatch it now because just off of watching this one shot, I'm confused as fuck right now. The hotel people, did they or didn't they leave the hotel since this shit popped off? You know what I mean? If they didn't, then how do they have any knowledge of what's going on with this community? Hopefully, that's just me missing something and it's not a huge plot hole in the story. Now we got an argument between those two about trust, and Alejandro drops the bomb. I want you to trust me like I trust you, like a son. And I almost started gagging. Like, really? What did you guys do? I mean, you chit-chatted a little bit, cut some drugs to expand your supply. We haven't seen anything, you know what I mean, in the story for that to resonate with us. We haven't seen it. You know what? I just thought about it. Holy shit. I think they did that with the pills. Didn't Nick say, trust me? And then they cut the pills? Which is even worse because we didn't see any backlash from that, any repercussions. They didn't give it enough time. For them to know something was wrong with the pills, they would have had to have used them, but they didn't. If there was any problem with the pills, if the people got pissed off, they wouldn't find out about it until the next time they met up with them, whether they went there for the trade like they're supposed to, or whether those guys decided to hunt them down because they knew they tampered with the pills. So there just wasn't enough time for them to find out they tampered with the pills. If you like that and you want to rock with that, that's absolutely fine. I just feel like that's a little thin, not much there to hold on to. And here's another thing that I can't stand. You tell me this chick who rose up in rank is clever, she can run a whole hotel, yet when the dude asks why his brother didn't come if he cared so much, she couldn't take a second, just a small hesitation, and then go quickly, because she's not an idiot, she quickly responds, after a slight hesitation, because you need to make it somewhat whatever, she responds, someone was hurt. He needs to help back there, so he couldn't come. And then that guy could then give a look subtly where he's like, I think she's lying, but you know what? We're not going to go down that road. I'm just going to go get what they need. You know what I mean? Then he walks away. That's much more better than her simply standing there like a mute being like, well, I'm an intelligent human being, but I just don't know how to lie right now on my feet, when there's 1,000 different possibilities of different lies I could say. You know what I mean? This better be good. And here it becomes problematic. Listen, Madison runs off, and automatically I'm like, holy shit. And what's irritating with that is because we feel like instantly she runs off because she has plot armor. Obviously she's not going to get hurt or killed, so the tension is cut there. However, I feel like they should have inserted something where as she's running off and the other girl's like, whoa, bitch, don't do that, the hotel warden, Madison could simply say, we have leverage, they're not going to touch us because then they can't get the ice. At least something like that to show that it's not just simply plot armor. And that is something small, but it seems really reckless, because after that, the girl is clearly telling her, Madison, knock it off or they're going to kill us, Yeah, reckless as shit, little frustrating that Madison overreacted like that. Holy shit, this is so fucking dumb. Okay. And the guy who's supposed to keep pressure on the wound is the guy who's stabbed, and his heart is not giving him enough blood to all his organs. Fucking genius. And at least she's just making the bed. No, making the bed is more important. Oh, okay, there she goes. She's going to apply pressure. Whew. Some of these things, too, because of this format, stopping and being like, okay, well, wait a minute, I think this contradicts that, or this doesn't make sense to that. Some of it isn't always negative. This is just the first viewing, so I might go back now and be like, oh, okay, no, yeah, this is right, whoop-de-whoop. For example, with the second flashback from Ophelia, her mother clearly talks about the blood, the horrors, the violent, just horrendous world that they lived in back in where they used to live, where, like El Salvador or something like that. From what I remember it in season 1, it was as if the daughter Ophelia had no clue about any of that, no clue about much at all, you know what I mean? So the flashback here kind of makes me want to go back and watch that now to see if it contradicts, some of the story from season 1. It might not. I just want to point that out. But as I'm watching this, I just remember thinking, wait a minute, I thought she didn't know about any of the horrors or anything at all. I could be totally wrong, though. I'm going to have to go back, when I do go back again, rewatch it, and see if that lines up or see if that is out of place. Yeah, Alicia, he fucking did. Alright, so we get to the ending, and Madison lights up the sign, and you have this back and forth between mother and daughter, and I just want to crack their heads together. However, no, I'm more on Alicia's side at this moment. To be honest, yeah, I'm completely on Alicia's side at this moment. She's saying some things I want to say, like, he picked that, over his own family. Fuck Nick right now. You're putting us all at risk. You put Victor at risk. You don't give a shit. You overreacted. You're just losing your shit right now. And I get it. Your kid's your kid, but your kid walked away. You have another kid to take care of, whatever. But that's not even the point here. Okay, if they wanted to do that, fine. I actually really like that ending a lot. My problem with that is a lot of the problems I have with this show, you can see it right in that scene. It doesn't live up to the potential it could have lived up. You just have Alicia pouring her heart out, telling her the truth, basically. Madison is just staring at her. This is a scene I feel like a better writer would have had back and forth between those two people in a way that is emotional. There's tension there, but you can see the argument of both sides. Right now, it's one-sided. It's just like, oh, Madison's being a dumb mother right now. She's desperate. But I feel like the writer's only goal was the sign attracts Travis. See how this breaks down? So now you could connect the dots. Madison hears of Nick. He's close. They have the hotel set up and functioning on that generator or whatever so they can light up the sign. She wants to light up the sign for Nick, doesn't realize that Travis is the one seeing it. So essentially her hearing about Nick is leading Travis back to the hotel. Now it does look like, well, we're going to talk about that, about his appearance and how that's probably taking place after him and Chris parted ways. That's the main goal of the first draft. So you can see that they were focused on that powerful ending because, in my opinion, it's powerful. It's just a 5 when it could have been a 9. Now they should have went back to polish it up now that they know the outline. They know how the story's going to go. They should go, okay, we want Madison to say this. Yo, you need to trust me, whoop-de-whoop, this, that, and the third. We need Alicia to fire back. No, this, he chose that life, whatever. We need Madison to come right back with da-da-da-da-da. Alicia would have been like, well, I'm here. And then Madison comes back, well, I'd do the same for you. And then she would snap back with this. I mean, really bring that scene up on an emotional peak. You know what I'm saying? And that just as we are so drawn into that scene, some of us are on the edge of our seat crying. It's really connecting us to both the characters, not just Alicia, because it really does make Madison look like a desperate, dumb fool at this moment. But then after we are drawn in and we're really connected to Madison and Alicia in a proper way, then we get the shocking reveal. Someone sees the sign, boom, it's flash forward Travis. By that I mean we're seeing him, and when we see him next, we're going to be flashing back in time to where he's still with his son, Chris, and then we're going to witness them depart ways, and we're going to follow him right up to where he sees the sign, or just skip all that and follow him right up until he gets reunited again with Madison and the group. I think that ending, we're going to probably revisit that again in another conversation, in a different video, most likely, because I truly feel like the ending of that episode really can show what I like the least about this show. And it's the feeling that we are essentially getting the first draft of the story. No one goes back and repolishes it. And people do. I'm not talking specifically that they're, writing it down and then never repolishing it. They probably are, but I feel like it's weak. No, let me correct that. I feel like it's weaker than it could be or should be. I feel like it should be stronger. And there's definitely clear potential for it to be stronger. You give somebody a solid writer, let's say, an hour, 2 hours, to kind of adjust and alter the dialogue. You could keep the story the same, alter that dialogue, and you could come up with a very powerful ending. Some people might not need that. Oh, we don't need that whoop-de-whoop, but I want that. I want every moment of this show to be as powerful as possible, even in the small, subtle moments, What's wrong with that? Anyway, that's what I pulled from this episode. If you're new here, the review was already posted before this breakdown. This breakdown's a bonus video, so I'm going to get it up a day or two later. It is a long one. There's a lot to talk about. It's more negative, so if you want to hear my final overall thoughts about this episode, even though it's more negative, you might be surprised by my overall thoughts. Go ahead and watch the full review for Fear the Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 12. Go check out that review, and please feel free to share your thoughts and opinions down in that comment box. I am open to hear specifically and exactly anything you want to get off your chest on what you love, what you don't like, yada yada yada. Just cut the bullshit, share your thoughts and opinions down in that comment box. I'm done talking, it's your turn.